I'm Vernon Felton. Welcome to Bike Magazine's 2015 Bible of Bike Test. We're here reviewing the Trek Lush Carbon 27.5, which is the top of the line Lush, and a 4 model grouping of women-specific design bikes. Again, the bike is $5,560, and if that's a bit steep, you can get the base level bike for just a little bit over $2,000. Now, if you look on the Trek website, the Lush is listed as both a cross-country bike and a trail bike. Which is it? What do you guys think? So what do you guys think? I mean, you rode it out on the trail today. What is it?
I kind of took away, my takeaway was it sort of feels like a cross-country bike in the front and a trail bike in the back. I really liked the rear shock. I liked how it felt descending, but the front's a little squirrely. I kind of thought it might be like, it's got pretty narrow bars on it, okay. 660 and a longer stem, and that combo kind of can make handling a little difficult.
Yeah, and it had a short reach and a short wheelbase, and I think they were aiming to make it more approachable for girls, but it ended up just feeling not as stable to me.
And it's I think it's one of the few bikes that we had on test today that actually had a geometry that was unique from the male inline version of the bike, right? So the male inline version of the Lush is the Fuel EX, right, which has been around forever. It's like the mainstay of the Trek line as a trail bike. This, if you look at the same size, like a 17 Fuel EX, it has totally different geometry.
Right.
And Trek says they do that with the aim of making the women feel like they're more centered and balanced on the bike, and that they have more control over the front wheel.
I felt like it fit me great as far as reach and not being too stretched out. Like out of the other 2 bikes that we rode today, like it felt good. And I'm only 5'4", so I felt probably the most comfortable on it.
Trek calls this, or they have it on in both places, cross country and trail, but they're saying it's decidedly a trail bike. But they say they put in the cross country part of their website because cross country, if you're in like say BC, cross country, their cross country is like some people's all mountain, right? So they're covering bases.
Descending on that bike felt really, really good. They use this, it's the new Reactive shock. And it's the first time I'd actually ridden the Reactive, and I actually climbed with it in trail, and it felt great to me in that, like, I didn't feel like I had to put it into climb it felt really good climbing, and so I really think that shock made a huge difference on that bike.
Well, it's supposed to. I mean, Trek is one of the few companies that has their own R&D unit just for suspension, right? And so it's a Fox shock, right? And it's a dual rate control valve shock, so it's already a dual chamber shock that's supposed to essentially feel nice and give you a lot of support so you're not wallowing while you're pedaling, but then open up when you hit a big hit so you don't feel like you don't have enough travel. But you're right, they worked with Penske Racing this year to take that reactive damping, which is used in F1 and other automotive racing, and try to turn that over to mountain biking. So it's supposed to give you that nice platform when you're pedaling so you're not bobbing, but open up when you hit bumps. I mean, did you guys have technical sections of the climb today where you felt like it had a chance to open up and give you traction?
Yeah, definitely. There were a couple sort of like rock drops in succession, so you definitely needed the rear suspension for sure, and you could really get a feel for it. It's, a lot of, definitely a lot of lava rock sections and stuff, so I feel like it was
a really well-balanced trail, because it has smooth and flowy sections where you're climbing, and then it has technical rocky sections, and then same when you're descending, you have bigger rock drops, and then, I feel like it was a really good section of trail to fully test these bikes that we were riding. Like, it gave it a broad range.
Yeah. And I was really pleasantly surprised by how it descended. I thought it was awesome.
I think, I also think this bike, when I was looking at what the Lush is this year, I think they've made a lot of really good improvements over what it was last year. And I really think they're headed in the right direction with this bike. It was a 29er last year. They changed to 27.5 this year. I think the 27.5 wheel works better with what they're trying to do here.
I talked to them about that because they were one of the few companies that had a 29er a women's specific 29 are down all the way to like a 14.5 inch. So
Yeah.
it's like an extra small, and I have this crazy short top tube, so it fit women down to like 5 foot.
Yeah.
And so they don't have it this year, and I've asked them why. They said they did it because they had rider feedback saying that more women preferred 27.5 inch wheels. And obviously I can't ask you guys to represent all women, right?
Why not?
But I mean, are you
We're
happy with
diverse.
the fact? Are we happy with that wheel size? Here's a
I
better
was.
way. Here's a better way
I
to think
was.
about it. Did you ever find yourself saying, "I wish this had bigger wheels"?
No.
No,
No.
definitely not. I think it was a good call on Trek's part for sure.
I'm curious. This bike had the shortest wheelbase. Did you have tight sections of the trail today where that could have been a plus? Did you feel like?
Sure.
Did you feel
Yeah.
like the bike handled like
Yeah.
switchbacks or anything better?
Definitely.
than
Oh,
today?
It really, there were a couple tight corners that were technical with rocks kind of
And
right in the
climbing
middle.
and-
And I thought it handled it great. It was really easy to get around the corners, and yeah, I thought that was great. I feel like with me, it could be really as simple as just changing the cockpit, and I would, I'd have nothing more to say, because I really do think kind of the guts of it, like the suspension and how it felt out there. I thought that was all pretty positive.
That was the rest of the components of it. Was the drivetrain up to snuff? I mean, would you?
Yeah, that was another change I wanted to mention is from last year they put a 1x on it, and I think that's
That's X1.
another X1, and I think that's another really great change from last year. It's got a 32, I think the 32 tooth chainring comes stock, and I think that's really good. Some people might want to go down to 30, but I feel like you get plenty of gear range, and so that was another really big improvement, I think, going to a 1x drivetrain.
A lot of people get scared with one by they think that they're not going to have a low enough gear, right? Which is
You'd be amazed.
I never felt like I ran out of gears.
I thought that at the beginning too,
Yeah.
and you really would be amazed with that rear cassette, a 1042, sort of like what range you do have, and what you can.
I
what
think
you
the
can
nice
put.
thing about it is it just streamlines the whole process of shifting. You're like, well, here comes a techie section, and I either have to stand up and pedal to make it through, or I don't make it. And so you have that option, and then you just stand up and pedal and make it through. It's not like, am I in the right gear? Do I have to shift down? You just go. And it's lighter, too, so that's a huge plus. So that's great.
I just like how quiet it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
not all that stuff rattling back and forth on the bike, and it clears up your cockpit, declutters the
Sure.
cockpit, which is plus when you have a dropper post. And this
And
one,
Left
this
thumbs
comes
for
with a
droppers.
reverb on it, which is
Yeah.
another great spec, and so I mean, I think, like I said, I really think they've got this bike has a lot going for it.
Carbon frame, women's specific, and 1x11 for a really good price point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
feel like that's huge.
It is a
carbon.
really great value for sure. I think you're getting a lot of bike, and it might seem like a lot of money, but you're definitely getting a lot for your money.
no, I think a lot of people look at a $5,000 price tag and they go, "That is a lot of money." But you're right; it's a carbon front triangle and seat stay.
Yeah.
and it is top-notch parts on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's nice to see real parts on a woman's bike.
Definitely.
All right, so there you have it.